Hi again, YouTube family. Thanks so much again for coming back to my channel to visit with me. As you know, early in the week, I posted a video and I was talking to you more about how I was coming home to myself. And so today I thought it would be a good idea to show you one of the ways that I'm doing that. And one of the first homes that I'm learning to steward is this one, my body. So a little bit of the backstory. In October 2025, I weighed in on my scale here at home, and I weighed in at 241 pounds. That was my highest weight, my highest non-pregnant weight. And mind you, I haven't had a baby in over 20 years. So long story short, I knew then that I was well overweight and wanted to do something about it. And in the past, I have lost weight, but it has become more difficult, or it had become more difficult in my mind. And so I had adopted the idea that I couldn't lose weight, that I'm menopausal now, and it's just not coming off like it was when I was 20 and 30 years old. So therefore, I would cut back and I would do a lot of yo-yo dieting. So I would lose 10 and it would come back, lose 10, come back. Well, fast forward to February, 2026, I had lost about almost 10 pounds, right at 10 pounds. And that is when my son, one of my sons who is into fitness pretty heavily, was working on developing or using an app and working on building his own fitness business. And he reached out to his dad and he was like, hey, want to know if you guys would be like my beta clients so I can learn how to use this app. And so we signed on. He put workouts out there for me and for my husband. And so even though it was for him to learn how to use his app for his business, I took advantage of the workouts that he provided me. And at that time, I started back doing strength training. Well, also, almost at the same time, another but I would say another process had been introduced to me. And so I had signed up for that already in November, and it was coming due to start March the 2nd. And so I told him, I said, I think I want to just put strength training to the side for a minute and let me focus on one thing at a time. And he was cool with that because he was expecting a baby and everything, and they were gearing up for that. So I kind of went to the side of the process. And at the start of the process, my weight was 231 pounds, 231.9 is what it was when I began. So by the end of the process, which was about 40 days, 6 weeks here or there, I lost 17 pounds. And this was really not exercise related. It was more or less me coming into new knowledge about my nutrition and how to eat better. And so it wasn't easy, but I was able to lose 17 pounds. So after that, I was pretty much on my own, but I did not drop all of the things I learned. I continued forward. Now, don't get me wrong, I was not perfect. I still remembered what I used to do. And so some of those things I went back to. And we'll get into that because a lot of the things I used to do, you would not believe. But that's neither here nor there for the moment. But I will tell you, I do want to visit that. And so to date, I am officially down 45 pounds. And the majority of that was after that program ended. So about roughly 9-ish between October 2025 and February 2026. Then from March 2026 to mid-April 2026, 17 pounds down. So that was 27. And now I am down to 196. So that's almost about 45 pounds from 241. I believe my math is correct, or somewhere around there. Y'all can correct me in the comments. But yeah, I wanted to touch on that today and give you a little backstory and just give you a little bit of how I got here. And whether or not I feel like I'm going to go backwards, because a lot of times in the past I have lost weight and I would end up gaining it back. So I just wanted to kind of, and I haven't perfected anything. So don't think I'm perfect. I am not, by any means. I am not. When I start telling you some of my secrets, you'll understand that I'm not. But one thing I've learned is consistency is over everything. Consistency over everything. Especially what you do most of the time is what's going to count. What we do most of the time is what's going to count. And so once I realized that, the weight just kind of started falling off. So now let me get into exactly what I'm doing currently on a daily basis to continue my journey, because I've not lost enough weight. If you were to look into the what do you call that calendar? BMI calendar, I'm still categorized as obese based on my height and my current weight. It's still obese. So I need to do more. I recognize that and I'm working on it. But I just wanted to let you know, even though in my mind, if you had told me back in October 2025, when I was 241 pounds, that in my mind, if I could just lose 50. Well, I'm almost there, but I still got a long way to go. I still got a long way to go health-wise. So we're still going to work on that. But now I'm going to get into what my day looks like now as to what I'm doing to continue the journey. So a typical lunch for me right now is something simple. If you can keep it simple, I find for me, if I keep it simple, the more successful I am with staying on track. Also trying to make sure it's prepared ahead of time. Now, I don't like everything left over. So I do find myself in the kitchen more often than not. Some meal preps I don't mind doing ahead of time, but stuff like foods like broccoli, I like to have it fresh as possible. Foods like, that's any green, spinach, I'm gonna saute that the day of. So I'm not gonna meal prep that. But those are simple, so as simple as you can make it, whether that means when you get your produce home, go ahead and chop your broccoli, wash it, and just have it ready to go. Your spinach, same way, wash it, have it ready to go. Tomato, whatever it is that you like to eat, romaine lettuce, whatever your veggie of choice is or your veggies of choice, go ahead and wash those and have those ready to go. If those are the ones that you want to make like the day of. Things that I meal prep right now, for example, I'm going to show you this one meal. It may not look the best, okay? But when I say it really works for me, it really works for me. I keep it in rotation. And as simple as this, it's steamed cabbage. I throw some kale off in there. And I ground some ground turkey, 93% lean, 7% fat, and maybe a few red bell pepper just to give it some color. And I'll show it to you, like I said. So this is the cabbage. And again, it's not anything fancy, but it's filling and it's nutritious for me. And I'm getting my protein, I'm getting my carbs through the cabbage, and the fat through the olive oil that I use. And sometimes I'll put just a little side of sauerkraut on the side, just because I like it. I'm not doing that today, but you can jazz it up however you see fit. But again, I like the cabbage. And it doesn't have to be ground turkey if you don't like it as your protein. I have done this with chicken breast. You can do it with whatever meat you desire that's lean and it's going to contribute to your journey to help, speed up that process. So yeah, this is my cabbage bowl. I guess I can call it a cabbage bowl, but again, it's cabbage, kale with some red bell pepper. I also use onion sometime, and raw is good if you like raw onion. If you like it sauteed, you can do that too. And then, just season your meat according to how you want it seasoned. some may want to put like something on it to give it some heat. I do like heat, and if I don't have pepper flakes, I have used this in the past. I just keep it, and it's a hot honey, I should say. And so if you like stuff like that, you can add it on there. But if you're not trying to do that, don't. If that's not your thing, don't do it. But I know that honey is also sweet, and I know that for this you only get like 60 calories. For 60 calories, you only get 1 tablespoon. So you got to be careful because those calories count. And that's another thing I'm learning is calories count. And that's a perfect segue into the next thing that I want to talk to you about, which is now everything that I eat, whether it's cabbage, kale, everything, I log it into a food app. And I'm also weighing it. So let me show you my scale. This is the scale that I bought. I bought it from Amazon, and it's really good. You just turn it on here, and you can see it has the different measurements. So if you want to weigh in ounces, grams, milliliters, whatever it is, this one comes with it. And I like it too because it has this elongated side. So when I sit my plate or my bowl there, I can still see the panel enough to know what the weight is of whatever the item is I'm weighing. So everything in that cabbage bowl that you see, I already pre-weighed. And I'll put the picture, I remember to put the picture here of what this meal is, or what the cabbage and all that came up to. And that's basically what I do now. Because I had no idea how much food I was actually consuming on a daily basis prior to this process. When I tell you, it was nothing for me to go to In-N-Out for lunch. I work from home, so I would just go down the street to In-N-Out, grab a burger, fries, milkshake, and a diet soda. Come home, eat that for lunch. That night, go to Cane's and get a chicken tender dinner meal with all the fixings and all the sauces. And I was literally eating probably upwards of 3,000 to 4,000 calories a day. And that explains why I could not lose any weight, because I was doing the most. And so it was nothing for me to have that run all day. Basically, fast food for the morning. I go to Starbucks, pick up something. I go back for lunch, like I said, In-N-Out or Culver's. I love Culver's burgers, by the way. And then go back that night and get some Cane's for dinner. That kind of day was very common. It was not every now and then. And so I have to admit, once I sat with myself and started to reflect on what am I doing? What am I doing that I don't need to do anymore? Eating too much of the wrong foods, period. And once you start to eat at home, weigh your food, and become more aware of how much you're eating, you can see this. You'll come to the realization that I did, which is I was doing way too much. And so now, as opposed to eating 3,000 and 4,000 calories a day, I'm typically somewhere between, I'll end my day through the week maybe with anywhere between 14 and 16. However, I have learned how to eat so that my food, my portions can be huge, but they're not full of calories, right? So I may have a meal in the morning that's packed with protein, the right carbs and fat, but the calories is under 400 calories, and I'm still satiated until lunch. And the same thing with this bowl of cabbage and turkey. This is gonna hold me until my afternoon snack. And right now, it's not even 1 o'clock. I'm a little late eating, but I probably won't get that snack until 3:30, because I won't be hungry. And so, yeah, that's just one of the things, some of the things that I'm doing Another thing is, and I'll show you this too, is after I eat, I'm gonna get me some tea. And let me show you the tea I'm using. So right now I'm using peppermint tea. And the reason I'm drinking this peppermint right now is because I'm going to also pour a pack of collagen in it. I don't want to taste it, and the peppermint to me hides that taste altogether. All I taste is the peppermint tea. So I'm going to do the collagen in my tea. And, you know, I'm, like I said, a 50-plus-year-old woman. So collagen, we lose collagen as we age. And so I'm just trying to put some of it back into my diet and as a dietary supplement. So that's why I use it. But yeah, so I'm using the collagen, and plus it gives you a little extra protein. And collagen is supposed to be good for your skin, your hair, your nails, your joints. And speaking of joints, that's so important because just today, all I did was stand up from my desk and my knee was hurting. I was like, what in the world? I didn't even do anything. But yeah, so yeah, we need to get the collagen. So if you're not taking any, you know, do your research for yourself. But yeah, collagen is going to be a good idea for me. At least it is for me. But yeah, so peppermint tea, guys. I also drink hibiscus tea, and that was really good for me just this week because I'm coming off of a 2-day fast. And let me tell you more about that. And y'all got to forgive me because I am not a seasoned YouTuber. So my transitions might not look pristine at all. But yeah, the hibiscus tea, I will cold brew it and drink it and sip on it when I'm fasting. I'll drink my peppermint tea hot and some electrolytes. So Monday and Tuesday this week, I didn't have any food whatsoever. And what I've now started doing since March is incorporating fasting at least once a week. I've missed weeks, don't get me wrong, but I am making it more of a practice than not to do it. What I'm finding is it really does help me with fighting the fight against the food, showing the food who's boss, because if you've had any type of emotional eating to occur like I have, it's like you answer to the food's beck and call. You can have a thought that, oh, I want a nothing but bundt cake. And then I'll go down to nothing but bundt and get it. Well, that's me allowing the food to overtake what really needs to happen. And nothing wrong with eating nothing but bundt, but I'm saying that that was my response every time I had a thought, is to go and get it. Go and get it. Whatever the thought was, go and get it. But with fasting, what it does for me is help me quiet some of that noise. And I'm determined to not listen to it. Basically, you hear it, but you don't act, is what I'm trying to say. So I'm acting less on those impulses, is what I'm intending to say as far as that's concerned. And getting that whatever benefits that fasting offers to us anyway. As you know, we were creatures of, in the early human stages, we didn't have the technologies that we have today that keep us bound in our homes and where we can just click a button on Amazon or a grocery store, Instacart, and everything shows up at our door. We had to forage for food. We had to hunt for food. And therefore, fasting was a regular occurrence because once we had a meal, we ate enough and it fueled us until we got our next. But now we're just fueling, and not giving our bodies enough time to rest. So the fasting thing, I didn't think I could ever do anything like that. It really is helpful. For one, for whatever reset occurs in your body, but for two, it also helps fight the flesh, basically, of the food noise and you satisfying those urges to eat all this different stuff that again, I'm not saying anything bad about anybody's food choices or even the things that I've chosen to eat, because some of those things I still may eat from time to time, but I'm not just doing it every day like I used to, basically, is what I'm trying to say. So, yeah. So next, so that's pretty much my food. I think tonight what I'll be having is probably some broccoli, a couple of pieces of steak, a few ounces of steak, and sweet potato or something like that. Or double up on the broccoli and leave the sweet potato out. It just depends. As far as snacks that I love to eat, it's going to be yogurt. And I'm going to insert a picture of the yogurt that I love the most and a fruit. And maybe a handful of almonds. Well, let me correct that. Not a handful of almonds, because you have to be careful about nuts. Let me show you. Now, I have this big bag of almonds, Blue Diamond almonds, and it's the lightly salted. And I don't know if you can see it in the camera, but 170 calories. That's a lot of calories. You think of your calories like your paycheck, basically. I don't want to pay that much. I don't want the whole 1 ounce or 28 nuts. So I'm probably just going to eat 7 or 8, So I still get the taste that I'm looking for. I still get the crunch. But I don't need 170 calories worth of almonds. And that's how I see it. So just because it says this is your daily serving, your serving size, it's up to you to calculate how you want to use that money or your calories. And I just don't want to use my calories for 170 calories for a handful of nuts, 28 nuts. I'm going to just probably have 7 or 8 nuts. So that's how I do for that. So I'll have the yogurt, I'll have the almonds, and maybe a fruit, an apple, grapes, or a peach, something like that to go with it. And that'll be my snack. And it's filling, because I get the yogurt by Siggy's. This one has 14 grams of protein in it, plus it's 0 fat, and I believe it has some fiber in there too. So I'm satiated after that. So that's my snack. And I don't think I told you about what I eat for breakfast. And y'all forgive me, because I'm not going in order. I didn't intend to be out of order. But breakfast is generally some egg whites. I may put an egg in it. So 1 egg with some egg whites, some spinach, some little cherry tomatoes, and avocado. But I don't eat the avocado every day. It just depends. But that's basically what my breakfast is. And here's another thing I wanted to point out too. And that's the fact that my journey so far is not exciting. It's exciting to see the scale go down, yes. But the things that you have to do to get it to go down, that part, your routine, my new habits, they ain't fun. They're not the funnest. I'm literally eating the same thing for breakfast every day. And that's by choice, because I know I could probably mix it up. But I'm choosing to be simple, because this is what's working for me right now. When I get to more of a maintenance stage, I'm sure I'll branch out. But the egg white, the spinach, and the tomato, and the occasional avocado, and an apple on the side occasionally, that's breakfast. That's going to be every day. My lunch, like I said, I keep this cabbage in rotation with the turkey. If it's not this, then it's going to be another vegetable like broccoli and some chicken breast or chicken thighs baked or grilled. That's just going to be what it is. I may add a side salad, because I've been incorporating like arugula. So I may add some arugula to that with some balsamic vinegar, actual real balsamic vinegar. And I'll put that on there, and maybe a boiled egg cut on top. But I'm just saying it's super simple. It's super simple and plain. I try to make it taste better, for my palate or what have you. But I find that when I kind of veer off trying to do too much, to try to make things taste like fast food or whatever the case may be, I'm probably gonna knock myself out of, my most, losing that weight or something like that. That's what I found. So I'm just being as strategic as possible, but I'm also doing what works for me. I'm open to suggestions in the comments. If you have some recipes that have worked for you, share, and I'll keep sharing too. But yeah, so that's my breakfast, and just my lunch is always going to be a couple of veggies, colorful veggies with a protein of my choice, and maybe a fruit like a blueberry, strawberry, apple, something like that. Grapes, I love grapes. And dinner, it's gonna be a repeat of lunch, maybe just a little different with the protein. I may have a piece of steak, or I may change up on the veggie. And then I'm gonna end it with something sweet, which may be a couple of those clementine little oranges. They're 45 calories a piece. I get me 2 of those and I call it a night. And that's pretty much my day as it pertains to eating. So now we gotta get to the good part. So I'm coming back next to tell you about my movement and what I'm doing daily in that category. So I'm gonna eat my lunch and I'll be right back. Okay guys, I'm back. So I ate my lunch, and today was a lift day because, like I said, I'm off the fast now, so I'm going back to lifting. And I only do it like 3 times a week. And so I'll insert some video of just some of the things I do. It's really, really simple. I'm not in the gym. I'm actually out in my garage. Sometimes if I feel like I want to go to the gym, I'll go. But for the most part, everything I've done, probably 95% of the time has been at home, using what I have. And in doing that, I probably do maybe 5 to 7 different workouts, and it takes me a little under an hour. So I'm not trying to rest a lot in between because I just want to get it over with. So basically, a little arm exercises, a few leg exercises, some glute exercises, and shoulders. And that's about it. And I sort of put the same ones on repeat, to be honest. If I see something across social media that I'm interested in trying that I think I might like, then I'll go ahead and I'll try it. But for the most part, I keep it simple. I know the areas I want to work. I hate being on the floor, so you won't really find me doing a push-up. You don't find me doing too many planks or stuff like that. I just kind of like stay on my feet and do what I can do that way. So yeah, but let me go back a little bit before the strength training, because before strength training ever occurred, I simply started walking. And so back in March is when, like I said, I started taking the nutrition part more seriously. And it wasn't until like maybe the last week of March, 1st of April, that I started just walking. And simply started out maybe doing 20 minutes, maybe 10 minutes, and sometimes because it gets so hot so fast, I maybe do 10 minutes. And then it just gradually progressed over time. And at first it was just to say I was doing something, but then later it became more intentional as I began to research more about the benefits of walking and how it didn't really have to be so high intensity, and things of that nature. I don't have a treadmill. I don't have a walking pad. So my walking is being done outside, which I actually prefer it that way. I like to be in nature and just outside, and weather permits, I'm going to be outside. So like I said, starting in late March, early April is when the walking kind of picked up, and it eventually made it to a mile, and then to 2 miles, and then to 3, and to 4, then to 5. And at one point I was doing 6 miles a day, and I cut back on that. It was a little bit much. So right now I'm settled on 4 miles, and I try to get those 4 miles in all at once every morning. So with the weather like it is right now, it's summertime in Arizona, I'm able to get outside about 4:45 a.m. And I'm doing that on purpose because it gets so hot so early. And even at 4:45, it's almost 90 degrees for the most part. So it takes me roughly an hour and 10 minutes to walk the entire 4 miles. It just depends on my pace from day to day. If I have a little pep in my step, then I can do a pace of about 17:50 and get it done in like an hour and 5 minutes. But if I'm slower like I was today, my pace was more in between 18:50 and 19, because, like I said, I'm coming off the fast and just didn't have that get up and go today. So I just took my time. I didn't try to push it. I just did a leisurely walk. I did the whole route and came home. And generally after I'm done with the walk, I come home immediately and get the dog, and I take my dog out for a walk. He's an older dog, he's a senior dog, so he's not walking as far as he used to. So I generally limit him to about a mile. So, and it's not like a hard pace or a fast pace, it's at his pace. But I still time it on my watch just to make sure he gets his mile in. So that's how I know we complete a mile. So I'm tracking my 4 mile walk, and I track his 1 mile walk. And so when we get back, I generally, by the time I feed him and then fix my breakfast and clock into work, I have anywhere between 10,000 and 12,000 steps before I clock in for my 7:30 shift. So back to walking though, I think for me, I thought I had to do intense incline walking on a treadmill or an elliptical, which I love the elliptical machine. I actually have one in the garage. It's a much older model, but it still works. But I really found in my mind, before I just broke down a lot of the strongholds that I had clung to, thinking that even, I was on the elliptical going hard and the weight wasn't coming off, but of course my nutrition was trash too. But I thought I had to do all of that. But what I found, and most studies say, a lot of the high intensity kind of goes against, and I guess it just depends on the woman, but it heightens our cortisol, makes us hold on to some weight, things of that nature. But just the benefits of a regular walk for me far exceeds what I could get done on a treadmill or the elliptical. And I actually prefer it. Am I never going to get on the treadmill? Of course I will. And I will do incline if I have that option, because when we travel, I'm going to the treadmill. I'm generally not going to walk outside in a place that I'm not familiar with. Will I still do the elliptical? Yes, I do like the elliptical, especially when I go to the gym. It's just super hot in the garage, and I'm not trying to be out there a long time in the summer. But just walking is all that I've really done consistently, like no days off, like Monday, Sunday to Sunday, or however you want to say it, every single day. It's non-negotiable at this point. And so my nutrition is slowly becoming the same way. Like I said, I still like a good burger. I still like a good dessert from time to time. But I'm learning how to incorporate that into my budget of calories so that I can still meet the weight loss goals that I'm setting for myself week by week. And, lifting weights, also, you got to understand that sometimes that causes you to hold on to water and glycogen and all of that type of thing. And so sometimes you really can't trust the scale from day to day, depending on what you're doing. If you ate too much salt or sodium, or if you lifted weights heavy. So sometimes you have to let your body settle down until you can see your true weight. So I've also learned not to, just be so weight conscious as far as what I see on the scale. I'm more concerned that I keep my routines, and I'm doing that the majority of the time. So consistency, again, has been the thing for me, not starting and stopping. Because I'm tell you right now, basically that's been the story of my life as it pertains to my weight. I'll start a diet, I'll start an exercise regimen, and I'll stop. I'll start something new and I'll stop. And that's just been the cycle, on and on and on. And this has literally been the longest time that I've kept a routine and new habits going since probably 2015, when I was much smaller. And so again, I'm not perfect in it. I'm still learning along the way, incorporating new things as I learn, realizing how to make adjustments along the way. And so I just wanted to share, though, that coming home to myself in this way, as far as my body is concerned, I realized that I have been abusing my body by eating so many of the wrong foods over a prolonged period of time. And of course, your body's only going to take that for so long before it starts to speak up. And a lot of times our bodies speak up and we don't listen. And in 2021, it was the first time that my doctor mentioned to me that, you want to probably watch your sodium, because your blood pressure is elevated. And I was of the mindset, I just didn't want to take no pills. But at the same time, I wasn't doing what was required not to take the pill. So literally I was skating on thin ice unknowingly. Blood pressure kept creeping up. And it's just by God's grace that, I didn't have any type of issue as a result of that. But I literally didn't want to take the pills because I was going to do this on my own. And that is not, I don't advise anybody to do that. That's crazy business. Do we want to be on medications? Majority of us who are on them will probably say no. However, if you're not gonna, what I had to say for myself was, if I wasn't going to do it, then I needed to be taking those pills. And it wasn't until I started to do it and saw what could really happen is literally I didn't need them anymore, because the blood pressure came down. So this is really the first time I've had such significant weight loss that I could see the blood pressure changing, coming down. The last time I lost any amount of weight was probably 2021 as well. But I think I was more or less, I lost like 26 pounds, 26 to 30 pounds, something like that. But it didn't stay off, and my habits did not change after I reached that number. And a lot of times that's where we mess up, is we get to a number on the scale, and then instead of continuing, we just stop. And that's been my issue. But I say all this to say that I just wanted to share what coming home to my body meant. And it's basically has meant incorporating new habits as it pertains to my nutrition, learning and educating myself, and learning more about how to eat, what food items work for my body, what food items don't. And, that'll be something that every individual has to find out for themselves. How much water I can drink, because I know a lot of times you can hear on social media, you need to drink a gallon a day. That doesn't work for me. So, it's those type of things. You just can't run with the crowd. You have to do the research for what works for your body. You really have to do the research for what works for your body. My husband, for example, he can eat just about anything he wants to, and his blood pressure is excellent. Me, I can't eat a lot of processed meats like lunch meats, sausage, bacon. Anything that holds a lot of sodium, I immediately feel it. I'm going to swell. My blood pressure is going to be elevated the next day. So those are the things that I've slowly but surely have had the opportunity to cut out. And, it hadn't been easy because I love some bacon and I love some Conecuh sausage. But I also know it's not good. It doesn't treat my body. My body does not respond to it well anymore. And so if I want to continue to keep the blood pressure down, then I know then I have to either find an alternative, or in some cases you might not have one. You just find another way to enjoy your breakfast or your meals. So sorry if I'm getting off track. But you have to do the research for yourself, find out what works for yourself, and basically make the changes. And not all of these changes, the nutrition, the exercise, the water, learning what works, happen at the same time. It's been a process. So since March, April, May, June, July, 4 months, it's been a process. None of this happened at the same time. And some of it happened, then I stopped, and I picked some things back up as I saw fit. So it just depends on the individual. So weight loss pretty much comes down to, in my case, it was more or less about the health of my body, the condition, and based on the abuse that I had caused or put upon my body, not moving, not eating well. Now I'm having to work to reverse some of those effects and then maintain as I go along. And so if any of this resonates with you, if you found that there are some adjustments that you can make, or your body has been whispering to you, because it doesn't seldom does it scream first. And I know that could be different depending on what the condition is, but seldom does it scream first. And especially with something like high blood pressure, what doctors or the medical community has termed that as a silent killer, so to speak, because it barely shows symptoms. So it's just important to, if you have a home monitor, perhaps, check it. If that's been an issue in your case. Not everybody has those issues. I totally get it. But I do check mine here at home. So whatever the thing is, but if your body is speaking to you or whispering to you in any type of way, I'm just learning to pay more attention. And again, not perfect, but trying my best to pay more attention and then move accordingly. If it's something I know I can adjust, I'll adjust it. If it's something I need to be seen for, then we'll get seen for. But I just want to share that and encourage anyone of you women who are out there, or any men even that come across this video, if this resonates with you at all, leave me some notes in the comments, like what things have your body been speaking to you about, and what things do you know already that you probably need to make adjustments on, so that you can kind of, realign yourself to better health, basically. So that's all I'm trying to do here, is just realign myself to better health, and finally just live better and not have to, have any issues that I can prevent. And that's basically it. I'm sorry I'm getting, mixed up with my words right now, so I guess it's time to end this video. But I'll continue to share along the way. Just different things that I come across, maybe some new menu items or new meal ideas that I come up with along this journey as well. And I'll be sure to sometimes maybe to take you along with me, and when I some of the food items that I shop for, like my little snacks, like I said, that's a certain yogurt that I like to eat and things of that nature. So I'll be sharing more in the future, but this is my second video since returning back to YouTube. I hope you have enjoyed it, and I hope there was something that you can take away. And again, drop down in the comments, say hello, just let me know you stopped by, and look forward to seeing you again next week. Until then, have a good one.